I was forced to enter the talent quest because someone accidentally had kicked the CD player and it stopped playing and I was belting top of my lungs.
They could hear you.
And then these guys kind of said to me, you know, you should enter this school talent quest. And I was like, no. And then my friend said, if you don't, I'm going to tell that guy that you like him. And I was just absolutely mortified. I thought, he cannot know. Like, out of complete fear, entering this talent quest just to avoid that boy finding out that I liked him. She pulled me aside and I never forget it. She said, you have something very special. Do not stop singing ever.
Yep.
And that feeling of singing for the first time in front of people, not privately, just felt incredible. This is
And
amazing.
I'm presuming you fed off that, like being in front of people and singing up. Like I'm presuming you were nervous. And then when you started singing,
I wasn't. As soon as I started, I was fine.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like stage wasn't unfamiliar to me because I'd obviously done the dancing thing. So it wasn't like performing. Like I was very comfortable performing. Was very comfortable speaking in front of people. I loved being around people. So there wasn't really a fear of that as much. It was more so we heard that you're the face of the song, but you're not the voice. And I'm on live radio, and I'm like, oh, I'll sing right now. And I sang a cappella, and obviously it's my voice. And that dispelled that rumour, you know, like.
The best way to shut it down though, right?
But I was just like, no, that's my singing voice. And so I remember singing it live. Sometimes it's all about a vibe. And if they like you, dude, that's it. And so that's been also a massive learning is knowing that sometimes I'm going to bring the energy and I'm going to be the vibe, and that's all the song needs. Yeah. And sometimes it's the story that people want to hear. So it's not getting it's learning not to be emotional about things and just whatever the song needs to be great. That's what you create.
And like you said before, as long as you're bringing joy, then the box has been ticked because I'm bringing joy, whichever way it is.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying myself so much. The live shows have been incredible.
The information provided is for general information and educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. You should consult with a qualified financial advisor before making any investment or financial decisions.
Hi guys, what's up everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Scottie G Show. Super excited today. I have the powerhouse voice behind the 90s classic Jackie, which was also highest selling
Australian single.
Yeah, at the ARIAs. She is an absolutely unbelievable performer. It is a pleasure having her in the studio today, and I welcome to you, Joanne.
Hello.
Welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Good. Thank you for coming in. Let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I had a look online. Born in the UK?
Yes. Not everything you read is correct, but that is correct. Yes. So I was born.
Well, I need to know what's on there that's incorrect.
I'll have to tell you my Wikipedia story in a minute for sure. Yes, I was born in London. My family is South African. So my family emigrated from South Africa to London. So I spent the early years over there and then moved to Australia. So
what age when you moved?
I was 10 when I got here. Okay. So London was great. I was a very happy child. And I loved living over there because I got to actually experience a lot of Europe when I was young, because obviously Europe's so small, so you get to travel quite a bit.
Sure.
And yeah, I had a really great childhood, music all around me. And that was great too, because the music overseas at the time, I think it was different to maybe what was here and what I was listening to.
Music all around you with family, or music around you just in general?
With family. Like a lot of my early memories of being that very happy, annoying child that I was. I feel really sorry for my older sister because we're 10 years apart. So I was always dancing. I was always singing. I was always rapping. I was just always doing something. And then I started putting on shows in the lounge room. But yeah, the music was, you know, my parents love music so much. So they've got these memories of being And it's a very common thing in South African families to go to these dinner dances. I think a lot of cultures do that, but it's very much, you know, you go to these dinner dances and the kids usually group and you make friends.
Yep.
And you think you're best friends by the end of the night. And a lot of the time the kids go outside and or hide under the table or whatever. But I just used to round them up to go to the dance floor. So I think I was the party starter back then, maybe. And so I've got these great memories of just dancing at these dinner dances and my older sister having this great vinyl collection. And my dad also had a great vinyl collection and just listening to whatever they were listening to. So very broad scope of music, obviously. And yeah, my earliest musical memory is actually, I don't even think I was speaking yet. And my sister, because I thought it was in my head.
Sister older?
My older sister, yeah. I checked with her because I had this memory and I thought maybe it was something that I'd made up in my head. And she actually confirmed that it was real, and it would have been maybe I was like 1.5 to 2 or something, like really early.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting down and the record player is like obviously taller than me because I'm little, but it's the Off the Wall album.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm the biggest Michael Jackson fan. Okay, all you Michael Jackson fans, and I'm thinking you guys are no me. I'm the biggest. I am, and it's me just rocking to this album and just being obsessed with it. And
you can feel it. You can feel the music already.
Yeah, and I kept thinking that, and I think it was about 5 years ago. I think I mentioned it to my sister, and she's like, "Yeah," and I just describing like what was around me and what I could see. She's like, "That was a thing." Because she obviously remembers. So I'm like, oh, I did love him from the beginning.
So were you doing, like when you were a kid, were you doing lessons and stuff? Were you like, this is what I want to do? Or was it just you being a kid and just having fun?
I was being a kid. My cousins were into music too. Everyone was like dancing around and stuff. And, you know, I was obsessed with, you know, when I got my first Walkman.
The Walkman.
For the children out there.
We're showing our age. We're showing our age.
And I just was obsessed with listening to music all the time, but it wasn't an unusual thing because most of, you know, the family and kids at that time loved music too. I think it was, you know, really, I did dance classes and I loved dancing, and I did dance classes several times a week, right up until I was about 16 actually. And initially I thought, I'm going to be a dancer. And I always loved dancing and loved music. But the singing thing happened a bit later because I had always sung, but I never actually realized or knew that I had something special or different or until I was about 15. Okay. And that was because I didn't really sing in front of people. I mucked around, you know, I mucked around. And
maybe family stuff.
Maybe family. And then I think when I was about 12, 13, my interest in singing just grew and grew. And then all of a sudden, and I don't know, I think this happens to some singers. You sort of have that moment of you click that there's something, and then all of a sudden you become this closet singer and you're shy because you're trying to figure out what you've got. And so I used to wait until my mum, my dad, my sister would leave the house, and I'd wait till that garage door, like they have to be gone, like not in another room, like completely gone. I'd wait until they'd left, and then I'd just crank the music and just sing at the top of my lungs.
I never thought about that, but I probably never thought about that because I never had any talent. That's probably why. But what you said is an interesting
it's interesting because I think back and I think to when I was really young, like when I was like, I'm talking like 4 and 5, you know, the lounge room concert era, I call it, where you just have no inhibitions because you're a child.
Yes.
I had no inhibitions whatsoever. And then, you know, by the time I guess grade 5, grade 6 came around, then all of a sudden I thought I was going to be the world's next rapper. And so I was rapping all the time. So even in early high school, rapping all the time. And then behind the scenes, there was this singing voice that I was just hiding from people. And then I got caught singing, and that was when everything changed. So the first time I got caught at home, I was singing Whitney Houston, typical, and it was Run to You from the Bodyguard soundtrack, and my parents had come home early, somehow did a silent entrance into the house. And my mum was standing there and she'd opened the door and she had like teary-eyed and was just like, oh my gosh, what on earth? And I was so embarrassed. I was just mortified. I was mortified that someone entered my private gig. No one was meant to be there.
Yep.
But she was like, Jojo, I never knew you could sing like that. And so that was the first time my mum caught me.
And then was she like, you need to do something with this? Or
I think
it was
she was just
more
in shock.
It was just more an appreciation.
Because she knew that I had a musical ear and she always knew I loved music, but I don't think she recognized that voice was going to come out of me at that age. So that was the first time I got caught at home. And the time I got caught at school, I was forced to enter the talent quest because it was about year 9 and I was at a house party and singing along at the top of my lungs to some 90s R&B track. I can't even recall what it was. And all I remember was that someone accidentally had kicked the CD player and it stopped playing and I was belting top of my lungs.
They could hear you.
And everyone just turned around. And then these guys kind of said to me, you should enter the school talent quest. And I was like, no. And then my friend said, if you don't, I'm going to tell that guy that you like him. And I was just absolutely mortified. I thought, he cannot know. And I'm like, oh no, I've had a crush for 2 years. You can't blow it now. So I ended up, out of complete fear, entering this talent quest just to avoid that boy finding out that I liked him.
So good.
And, and did it with a couple of guys and we won.
Was it like R&B theme? Was it?
We did
like,
R&B.
Do you remember what song you did or what?
I do. I remember the first time I did Ain't No Sunshine and Giving Him Something He Can Feel by En Vogue. And I think there was a third song, which I think was a Mary J. Blige song. So I did 3 R&B tracks and I had these guys and we wore our baggy jeans with our boxes hanging out, with bandanas. We it's just standard at the time.
Vibing, love it.
It's just North Dandenong vibes, very normal at the time. And did that. And then I just remember there was this one teacher, God bless her, Miss Giles, if you're listening. She was a drama teacher at my school, and an English teacher, but she sung. She had a great singing voice. She pulled me aside and I never forget it. She said, you have something very special. Do not stop singing ever.
Yep.
And that feeling of singing for the first time in front of people, not privately, just felt incredible. And it was at that moment I was like, oh, this is
And I'm
amazing.
presuming you fed off that, like being in front of people and singing up. Like I'm presuming you were nervous. And then when you started singing,
I wasn't. As soon as I started, I was fine.
Yeah.
And I wasn't stage wasn't unfamiliar to me because I'd obviously done the dancing thing. So it wasn't like performing. Like I was very comfortable performing. Was very comfortable speaking in front of people. I loved being around people. So there wasn't really a fear of that as much. It was more so, I guess, because I'm about to reveal this thing. And I had this paranoia too at the time. It probably sounds silly, but it was very real to me. I knew I had this different voice. And what I mean by different is I wanted to have a sweet tone. I wanted to have a sweet voice like Mariah Carey or Aaliyah or, a lot of the music that we were listening to at the time, especially in that R&B world, was very, these sweet, soft voices.
Yep.
And I had this, I call it the foghorn. I had this tone, and obviously it was still developing at that age. I didn't sound like how I sound now at that age.
But you even then you still
But even then I knew that, and it was this weird thing that I was doing because I was so inexperienced. I used to place my voice, and if someone was to find footage of me back then, you would see it because it's like I'm trying to sing like something else that's not actually me. And it was because I knew that I could go there. It was like I'd hold back. And I just remember just that feeling of, I want to sound like something else, and almost being maybe embarrassed and maybe not sure how my real authentic voice would be accepted. And it's also what I was listening to. And I did listen to a lot of disco and a lot of soul, a lot of funk and a lot of house, early house music back then too.
Yep.
And that felt really comfortable and natural. But it was almost like I just was people going to get it?
That's a powerful voice you got. I mean, I was listening to some of your stuff before. When I drive to work on the day of a podcast, I start thinking about, you know, my guests.
Yeah.
And so in your case, it was great because I could put some music on and just start listening to
Yeah.
it. And like that note you get, like it's so powerful. I love it. Like I don't know, like you said back then when you were younger, I probably didn't have the power that you have
I just
now.
don't think I explored it. I feel like when I think about all the songs I used to sing as a teenager, funnily enough, where I always felt most comfortable, I know this is strange, but this was where I used to sing a lot of men's songs. So
Like
I
the
used
R&B stuff?
I was
Boys to Men.
Yeah, I was obsessed with Jodeci.
Jodeci, yeah.
Anyone that had like a growl and a grunt and and I loved that. So I don't know. I always crack jokes and say that that's why my voice broke. Like I always crack jokes about it because I used to literally, you know, everyone else was singing all the girly songs and I'd be like singing some inappropriate,
The more masculine
song.
Yeah.
But it was just because I was like tapping into that and I loved the harmonies and all that sort of stuff. And so I really feel like, I was just so unsure. But at the same time, I knew where I felt comfortable.
Yep.
But I just don't think I explored it enough to know. And then I think as the years went on and it got closer to year 12, I started to sort of get a bit more comfortable and like the soulful voice was always there.
Yep.
But I definitely was for sure holding back. And I don't even think I realized what I could do probably until later on in my late teens because I just don't think I'd explored it.
After school, did you sort of take it really seriously or did you sort of, you know, go start studying or working?
Yeah, so I feel like many, you know, kids, they probably relate to this. You know, I had a very supportive family who acknowledged and knew the talent that I had. And even the teachers at school, they were very, very encouraging, but I was also a bit of a nerd.
Yeah.
And I was a bit of an academic. And so there was almost that opinion back then that you just couldn't have a career in music. It wasn't the smart thing to do. And the smart thing to do was to go to university and get a degree. And that music or singing is just a hobby. And so as, you know, high school went on, I had some discussions with a few of the teachers at school and the coordinators and career advisors and all that sort of stuff. And I had said, you know, I feel like music might be my purpose, you know, and I just started writing. I think I'd written my first song that year, I think. And I just started writing and I've just come to that point of there's like this fire burning in my belly.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best way to describe it. It was this thing of just knowing like, and I knew from young, like as much as I say that I discovered singing later, I knew very, very young that I had the power to engage and a purpose to bring joy. And so I would do that whichever way I could. So whether it was doing the lounge room concerts or impersonating people or dancing or whatever it was, I was always trying to make people feel good and make them laugh and stuff. So I think as time went on, I was like, I think I can do this with music. And I think I can move people and connect people. Because obviously by that point, I'd had the experience of, I'd sung a few times and I'd seen how people felt and I'd seen how I felt and I'd experienced this back and forth and that energy. And yeah, so when I'd had the discussion at school, it was very much, yeah, you're great at this, but it's not a career. Do your preferences and pick what you want to do at uni and stick to that, and then you can do this on the side. That's the smart thing to do. I was like, okay. And my parents were the same. Of course, they acknowledged what I had, but they didn't want to just go and encourage me to do something when really none of us knew anything about it. None of us knew how to do it. No one knew.
Where do I start?
Yes. And then what ended up happening, and it's so weird, and I feel like it was definitely God moving the chess pieces or something. I'm literally in my last week of exams for year 12. A friend of mine, family friend of mine, was managed, had a manager, went to the studio, was in a girl group, that kind of thing. And she was really kind and said to me, hey, you know, have you ever seen a recording studio before? Because she knew I sung. Now, funnily enough, she knew I sung. She'd never heard me sing. She just knew I sung.
Yep.
And I said, no, I've never seen one. And she goes, I'll pick you up after school and show you, because she was a bit older than me. So I go and I'm in my school uniform. Like, oh my God, how embarrassing. I'm in my school uniform and I turn up and, you know, I would have looked quite hilarious walking in there, you know, with my blazer on and everything. And yeah, I rock up at the studio. The producers were really kind. Everyone was really lovely. And I think they were just kind of like, oh, let's let the kid have a sing. And they popped me in the booth and I sung behind the mic. And there was one person on the other side of the glass. Then there was two. Then there was three. All of a sudden, there's more and more people as I'm singing. And I just remember her manager saying, I did not expect that. And I was like, thank you.
It's like a scene from a movie. I love it.
So I walk away thinking, like, oh my God, I got to see what a studio look like. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And went home. I think it was like a Thursday or something. And I remember I think it was the day of my last English exam from memory. And then I think the Monday or the Tuesday, that manager called my house because there were no mobiles. Giving away my age again. He called my house and said, have you ever thought of a career in music? And I said, all the time. And he was like, I think we need to talk. I think that you might have something. And so, yeah, then that first meeting, I think it went for 7 hours or something with my parents. Because even because at the time I was still, I think I was either 17 or just turning 18. And it was, and I also I'd never done this before.
Needed an adult there. You're still a minor.
And also, I'm a South African child. Even if I didn't want my parents there, they're going to come anyway. So they came and, you know, asked a ton of questions. And basically the agreement that I came to with my family was that I would give this a go for a year. And I would put everything into it. And if nothing eventuated, then I would do the smart thing and go to university and all that kind of thing. So I made the agreement. And so for that first year, it was basically this routine of on weekdays, I would get, because this is before I was driving, I would get a bus, a train and a tram to South Melbourne to record. So you'd get there for like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. in the morning and you would just write songs.
So you'd record your own? You would?
Yeah, so what happened is that we would either, it was myself and these other girls, so we'd either write the songs together or sometimes they'd separate us and it would be like, you go away, you write songs, and then we'll pick which one's the strongest, and then we'll go in and record it, and just all these tasks.
Right. So are you managed by yet?
I'm managed at this point.
So now it's managed?
Yeah, so I'm managed at this point. So it was learning how to write. Then it was learning how to be in a studio, because singing in a recording studio is very different to singing live. And I'd obviously never had that experience. And
is that just because of the sheer silence of a?
It's the silence of it, and it's learning what your voice can do. Because when you're recording a song, there's obviously your lead vocal, which is what I use when I sing live. When you're recording a song, there's so many layers. There's colors and layers and ambience everywhere. So often what you hear where you think it's just one voice and a couple of harmonies, it could be stacks and stacks and stacks of vocals, because often when you record your lead vocal in a studio, you're actually layering it sometimes 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. And it sounds a weird technical talk, but it gets panned left and right. Yeah, and so when you hear it, it sounds like this one round, beautiful voice.
Yes.
But it might actually be stacked 3-4 times. Obviously, when you do it live, it's still punchy and people don't know. But for the purpose of listening on a track, you do that, then you stack all your harmonies. And so you're getting to know all the different colors of what your voice can do. A lot of singers don't do their own backing vocals or can't. There's many singers that over the years, some of the best singers in the world that we listen to, that it's not their voice doing the backing vocals, they get backing vocalists in. I was really keen to just want to do it all like a lot of singers. And so you learn harmonies. And if you naturally learn how to harmonize, you would then go, okay, what can I do with my tone? And I love to this day manipulating my tone to do different things. So when I was speaking earlier about I wanted the sweet voice, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I love putting it on. And in the studio, it's like acting. You take on these different characters. You're behind the mic and you're like, I'm going to experiment with this tone.
And that depends on the song, right?
Depends on the song. So
Yeah.
some songs will have, it's personality driven. And it's all about, my latest track that's out at the moment is a track called Where's That Beat? And as much as it's
I was
this
cranking
big
it in the car
diva
this morning.
vocal, it's a character that I've taken on. It's
Yep.
very, it's not meant to be this technical vocal song. It's about this personality. So songs like that, you literally just have to just let go, get behind that mic. And sometimes I will look at the engineer and I'm like, this is weird. Just trust me, because sometimes I do things and I know that if I explain it, people will be like, huh? So you just got to do it.
Just listen.
Yeah, I'm like, just listen. And that's, with that song, it's very much I wrote it, came up with this, it's this character and she's like this. And then you'll get other songs where it's like, it's a vulnerable song and it's sung from the heart, obviously. And then the approach might be sweeter or it might be not as aggressive or, So back then it was learning my craft and learning off the people around me. I was the youngest one. I was only 18. Everyone around me had been doing it, God, for like 7, 8 years, 9 years, some of them. A lot of them were recording artists already and they already had all that experience. So it was very much me watching them work and understanding how they work and taking bits from each person and kind of applying it to myself. And so it was this Monday to Friday thing. Did it for quite a while. And then I think it was like at the year and a half mark, I think, that was when everything shifted. Because I decided that I think I was meant to be a solo artist because I'd been working with these other girls and it was just that feeling of, I felt like and it's this weird displaced feeling that I've actually still have to this day where I'm like, I don't fit anywhere. Back then, I remember.
I was born to do my own thing. So
yeah, but it's also it's this interesting feeling of knowing that you're meant to be on your own and stand on your own 2 feet because you're in your own, I guess, I had my own thing that I was doing. But at the same time, it was also this feeling of not fitting in because I was like, I just wanted to go nuts. Like I wanted to be that performer that was running around like a maniac. Like if you imagine like Tina Turner.
High energy.
Yeah, just high energy, unhinged almost. I loved obviously dancing. I wanted to be high energy dancing at the same time, but I also just wanted to just let loose. And if you're in a group, you always have to be mindful of what's going on around you. And there's a time and a place for it. And so I think I just came to realize, I'm like, I feel like I want to do this, but I also didn't want to step on toes. I also was just like, so I just honestly thought that I was going to have the conversation and be like, thank you for having me. The last year's been great. I'm going to go back to, because I honestly didn't think when I said, I think I'm meant to be by myself. I was just respectfully just going to step back and say, good luck everyone. And just,
Sure.
because I'm like, the group thing's just not for me. And And no, it ended up being a case of being given the opportunity to explore what this looked like. And so the first opportunity that I was given was the Good Friday appeal. And basically it was a case of management saying to me, if you can do this, we'll see what happens. And I said, okay, so what am I doing? And so it ended up being, funnily enough, Tina Turner's Proud Mary was the first song I ever sung on television. And it was me with like a billion dancers. And it was this full choreographed situation. And what people may not know at home is how many cameras there are when you do live television. It's not just 2 or 3. They're everywhere. They're up there, they're down there. Sometimes there's 9, 10, like they're everywhere. And so it was learning not only how to perform, which I picked up quite naturally, engaging and performing and the singing aspect and even the dancing aspect, I picked that up quite well because I'd had some dance experience, but working a stage and getting to understand how cameras work, because you've got a live audience and you've got cameras. So it's knowing how to switch from engaging the crowd that's there, but also to catch the camera shots in between for the people at home. And so it was this really interesting experience. And
are you trained on that?
You do get so what you do is you
brief or
do
something?
like the choreographed rehearsals in, say, a dance studio with the 1,000 dancers. I say 1,000 because it felt like 1,000, but it probably wasn't. Who worked? I can say they work so hard. These dancers too, I must say. And you basically go in, you'd learn all the choreography, and obviously I'm a singer first, because even though I've done dancing before, and I wasn't a bad dancer, I was never a professional dancer. So for me, it was important to go in, I'd learn all the choreography, and then I'd break it down, because at the same time, I have to be able to sing comfortably as well. So what you'd do is you'd usually have a choreographer or a dancer with you, and they would sort of break it down with you to go, okay, what moves do you like?
Yep.
What are you comfortable with? And so you'd sort of dance for a bit, sing for a bit, and then you'd work the crowd for a bit. Then you'd come back and dance for a bit. So you kind of break up the choreography. Then from there, they would then do the camera rehearsal, like a camera rehearsal, but still in that same space where you now, for example, you know your choreography, but it's like maybe you're facing that way because you know there's going to be a camera shot. And so you actually learn how to maneuver yourself for the whole performance. And then obviously there's the camera rehearsal at the TV channel or network, wherever you are. So in this case, I think it was Channel 9. And you get your sound checks and your camera runs. But obviously it's not like you've got all day.
No.
There's heaps of artists, so you've just got to, switch it on. But
how do you, just going back to what you said about that high energy and working the stage and moving around, it's going to sound silly, but I've always thought about it. Like when I see performers, say like Chris Brown, who they're dancing, but like
he's insane.
Like they're actually like really dancing. How do you not get puffed? And then how do you sing properly when you're dancing? I've always wanted to know.
It really, do you know what? It really is. I don't want to say you either have it or you don't, but you either have it or you don't.
Is it all about the breathing?
It is about the breathing, but I will say this. I think it's also about practice.
Yeah.
Because I never had intense formal vocal training as a kid. Like I did voice, I think, in year 12 as part of music, because music was one of my subjects. And then it was just, I think studio time was the best training for me, because you hear everything so clearly in your ears. And so that repetitive use of your voice, but it's also the breathing thing, and it really is practice and running around that stage. And I know some singers that were trained and were told, to run on a treadmill and sing.
To practice that.
To practice, because
breathing.
a lot of singers, especially, when you think about people doing musicals and things where they're in the chorus, but they have to dance and sing, and some of them haven't had much practice. So they get told you need to jump on a trampoline or run on a treadmill and sing, so that you can just get used to moving and singing at the same time. I have definitely gotten better over the years with practice. And it is being consistent. I mean, when you think about, I guess, someone like Chris Brown, like we were talking about, he would have been doing this for many, many years, but consistently doing it. And obviously people like him, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, for example, they've, mastered that knack of movement and voice.
And not letting it affect the voice too
and
much.
not letting it affect them. And it's knowing your voice and knowing what it can do and when. And that's why I think it's so important if you are going to incorporate movement, to make it movement that you're comfortable with and know when to break off to focus on the vocal. But it takes work. I mean, at their level, they would be rehearsing, and that it would be like a well-oiled machine. Like they've been doing it constantly through their entire career, So,
I think about when I'm belting a track in the car and I run out of breath and I'm not even moving. I'm just sitting there and I'm just taking that deep breath in between. I'm thinking to myself, how would I be moving right now doing this?
Yeah, I often, I have to be honest with you, the stamina that I have, and I have a lot of stamina, and it's weird because I'm getting older now. I should be running out of stamina, and I just have this, it's really weird. It's like my voice is getting bigger and the range is growing even more as I get older. And I'm like, isn't this when people slow down? But
we're not getting older. We're getting better.
Up,
We're getting better. That's what.
So
we're
I
doing.
feel like it really is a muscle that I've been using for my for 30 years or however long I've been doing this. Like I've been using that muscle for so long that it's just getting better and better and better. I mean, obviously I get sore knees now after the shows. I'm like, ooh, I did too many dance moves just then. But I have to be honest, like it really is just, I don't know a lot of the time where that power comes from. It's like I just channel something else and I don't even know what I do half the time when I'm on stage. I have no idea. Something comes over me and I'm just lost in song.
It's like a trance.
Yeah. And I literally will sing, some songs I sing different every time I sing them because I'm just in the zone and whatever comes out. And yeah, and then sometimes, like, I think I've done a couple shows where I've been performing for ages, but it's belter after belter after belter. And then I'll come off stage and people are like, "You're not sweating." And I'm like, "Huh?" And on the inside, I'm like stuffed. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm like, "Huh?" And then like, "But you look normal. Like you don't, like you've just been running around like a maniac and you look normal." But I honestly think it's because when I'm up there, something else happens.
Yeah. It's a new
and I'm
energy.
at ease and I can just handle it. And then as soon as I step off the stage, I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, what just happened?" But in the moment, it's like I feel like I can just do anything.
So this Good Friday show that you did, did you crush it? Did you?
I did. I did, and there was even a lift at the end where I got held in the air by these dancers. It was pretty funny. But no,
what a cool experience though. Like
it was a great experience. Like it was so cool to have, my first vocal experience be singing Tina. I mean, and it was funny because I think that was probably the first time that the powerful voice was it's like, let's challenge and let's see what she can do. And I will say that the people working around me at that time recognized that I had that vocal capacity and obviously realized that, I wonder if she should shift focus, because I was so heavily into, as a listener and also into the environment that I was doing the whole 90s R&B thing, which was very smooth, you know what I mean? And but I also loved house and loved dance music. It was like there were these two sides of me, and it was like, which way do I want to go here? I love listening to this and I'm so heavily influenced by this, but then I kind of want to go mad like that.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening was that everything I learned through my exposure to R&B and soul my whole life, as far as harmonies and soul and all that, I just brought that over into the dance
with a
arena.
higher up beat.
Yeah, and was able to sort of apply that in my own way with dance music. So yeah, I think after that experience with the Good Friday appeal, then management were like, "Okay, you clearly are capable of doing this." And I think that would have been April, and Jackie came out in August of that same year.
This podcast is proudly brought to you by Hospitality World Direct. Thinking about building or upgrading your commercial kitchen? Hospitality World Direct has you covered. From full kitchen fit-outs, cooking equipment, refrigeration, custom stainless steel benching and ventilation systems, to all your smallwares and utensils. Everything under one huge 10,000 square metre facility. Visit Hospitality World Direct at 106 Fairbank Road, Clayton South, or online at hwd.com.au. Your one-stop shop for everything hospitality.
So what happens there? Does management say, "We want you to record an album"? Is that how it works?
So it's quite a funny story. So it was still very much that same routine of going in, writing my own songs and recording. So I was still doing that same routine that I had been doing prior with the other girls. And then what ended up happening was the producers that I were working with were working on Jackie. And I didn't know the song. I honestly did not know it. The original Jackie came out in 1988. I wasn't familiar with it. And I remember I used to hear the producers working on it. I'd be like, "What's this?" And they're like, "Oh, it's this song we're doing." I was like, "Oh, yeah." And anyway, they're working on it. And I think one day they told me that they'd been trialing different voices for it. Nothing quite gelled. And they were saying to me, it was this you know, people loved this song in, you know, back in the 80s. And I was like, oh yeah, you know. And I said, play me the original song. So they played it to me and I was like, oh yeah. And I said, can you play me like what people have done or what it is that you're not
what
resonating
they're going
with?
to sort of overlay
yeah,
with it?
So they sort of play me the updated, their take on what the new production was. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then they sort of played me some of the vocal examples of what people had attempted to do with the demo. And obviously they played me the original. I remember giggling. Sorry. And I giggled because in the fresh production that I was hearing, I could just hear this oomph and this thang and this sass and this power, which I personally felt that was lacking in the other things that I'd heard. So being the know-it-all that I was, I pretty much just said, I was like, oh my gosh, I know what it needs. And then I started like going like, if I was going to sing it, I would just do something like this. So I'm just being truthful and giving my opinion and singing. And then I just remember the producer looking at me and then manager looking at me going, you're meant to do it. And I was like, oh, no. Like, I was just saying, like, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Can I be cheeky and ask, what did it sound like? What did you do?
I just, exactly what you hear on the record. I think I literally, you know, was singing a cappella, singing that first verse. And I'm not kidding you. They said, go straight in. And what you hear on the 1998 recording is that. It was literally instant. Go in there. And sing. And I was like, okay, because I don't know what's going on here. Like, I'm like, what's happening here? Well, all right. And I'm like, so I'm just putting down the ideas so you guys can hear. Yeah. They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I went in, recorded the song as I heard it, collaborating with the producer, and that was it. One version, like that's it. And then they were like, this is great. This is great. And I'm like, oh, so what's happening with this? They said, oh, it's just a vinyl release. And they said, it's just a 12-inch vinyl underground release just for the clubs. And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, so what does that mean? They're like, oh, it's just, you know, like we're just going to put it out. And I was like, oh, yeah, so I can still finish my R&B stuff, yeah? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, sweet, you know. So I'm sitting here thinking it's exactly that. It's a 12-inch vinyl release. And don't get me wrong, I had the time of my life recording it. Like it feels like it was like an hour and a half, 2 hours recording it. It was very quick. And I loved the fact that I had, like, you know, this, an opportunity to just interpret how I saw it and how I heard it in my head. So they just let me do what I wanted to do, really. And I was like, that was fun. So I'm like, oh, that was so fun. I really enjoyed that. And so it got released as this vinyl track. And DJs in Melbourne started going mad for it. And they start playing it in the clubs.
What year are we now? What year?
98.
Yep.
So it's getting played.
Yep.
It's on vinyl. Sense. It's in the clubs. I remember being in Brizzy on a holiday with a friend. And then I get this call. And my manager says to me, so you know the song? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, it's leaked to radio. And I said, how's that happened?
Yeah, how does that happen?
And he's like, some of the DJs that are spinning it in the clubs actually have radio shows. So what they were doing was they were starting to play it and sneak it into their radio shows at night. People were loving it. People would call the radio station, what is that? Where can I buy it? And obviously it's this 12-inch vinyl. So people are saying... Because
it wasn't designed to be mass-produced.
So it was like, market. Oh, you've got to go to Central Station Records and you have to go buy the vinyl. And so what ended up happening is there was this almost like a demand of people saying, you know, basically the indication was people wanted it on a CD.
We want to buy it, yeah.
And so then, you know, my management said to me at the time, they're like, we're thinking of releasing this as a single. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, we have to because there's a demand there. You know, we're hearing that people are loving it in the clubs. Radio, we're enjoying it when it's being played on radio. Now the people are asking, you know, we're going to release it as a single. And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, what does that mean? And they're like, oh, we're just going to, create a single cover. Maybe we'll put your name on it. We'll say, featuring you. I was like, okay, what's a single cover going to look like? It's going to be pink. And I'm like, okay, cool. So again, just going about my business. Then the single comes out and it's moving on the chart and getting quite a response.
And I'm presuming at this point in time, you're not really aware of the whole commercial side of all
No, I've
this.
got no idea.
Like the business side.
No, I know what I hear. I know what I see.
Yep.
But I don't know that world at all yet.
Yep.
And then I get told, then people are asking who the singer is. And this is where it gets really interesting because I'm a 19-year-old from North Dandenong at this point. And people are thinking I'm from the States. And someone had said that I was a 36-year-old woman from Detroit or something. And so my manager's like, people want to know who the singer is now. Let's do a photo shoot to put on the single cover and let's do a quick video clip. And it literally was the quickest turnaround. Yep.
They probably wanted to get it out quick too.
Yeah, because the song's already out, and so the whole plan was change the distribution, what the cover looks like. Let's put a face on it. So photo shoot was done. The video clip, the whole concept was I'm just going to make fun of myself and make fun of the 80s and just be a goofball because I thought people would get it. I think people thought I really was that kooky walking around in real life, but the whole point was just something fun, something colorful, something cheap, something quick. And so we did it. Just left to our own devices, no real planning. With two dancers who are still friends of mine to this day.
And that's released as like a video clip?
Released as a video clip, and then all of a sudden it's just taking off. And this is all happening very quickly. It's not like this was months and months, like this was so quick. And before you know it, it's climbed to number 3. Cher was at number 1 with Believe. Pretty Fly for a White Guy was number 2, and I was number 3.
Wow.
And this song's taken off, and I had no idea this was going to happen. None of us did. And then it's a case of, okay, Joanne, are you ready? Because this has just opened a massive door for you.
Yep.
And now you just got to go with it. And you're right when you said before, like with regards to, preparation and did I know that business world? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I knew how to, I thought, and I say I thought because I was inexperienced, but at the time I was like, okay, I know how to sing. I can perform. I think I'm good with talking to people, but it was learning on the job. I treated my first lot of interviews as I'm just going to be myself, and luckily I'm a good talker, so I was okay. But yeah, learning what an itinerary is like, learning how to be in a room with record labels and business people, learning, I guess, television and media, but also the chaos because it happened, it blew up so quickly, and it went from being just this kid who loved singing and this kid who just wanted to perform and bring joy to people to, oh my goodness, I'm actually doing that. And funnily enough, weird part, that year, 1998, I think I said to you, I'd done the Tina thing in April, Jackie was August. I haven't actually done this since, but that year I was at one of my friends' houses and we had these A4 books. And in it, we decided we were going to write our New Year's resolutions. In that book on the first page, I had written, and it was almost more like a manifestation now that I think about it. I had written, I would love to have a top 40 single this year. That would be amazing. I don't know why I wrote it, but I just wrote it.
You manifested it.
And I wrote something else about purpose and wanting to bring joy. And And I think about it now and I'm like, I think I spoke that over myself.
Well, you did bring joy. 98, I'm just finishing high school. So I reckon by like 99 and we're hitting the clubs and stuff. Everyone knew that track and everyone was rocking to it.
It's insane what happened with that track. And it was the most bizarre ride because thinking back, it was such a blur at the time.
Yeah.
Number one, because I was so young and everything was happening so quickly. Number two, because when you're that age, you don't understand or know how to be present at all. And everything is an itinerary. So it's like you're just saying yes constantly. Yes. And just going with whatever you're told to do.
And are you guided by your management as well?
Yeah, I had, so there were some key people who I felt were really, I mean, obviously management, but there were also specific people maybe that were brought in. There's usually like a contact at the label that you bond with. If there's a label involved, we were independent at the time. So there was a few key people and even tour managers that used to actually go on the road with me. Usually they're probably the people that you get the closest bond with because they're with you all the time. And I was just a kid, just happy to be here. And just thank you and and all that kind of thing. But I had no idea what the industry was actually like until I was in it. And
good and bad.
And the years that followed were really interesting because in the beginning it just everything happened so fast, and this song had legs and wings like I don't even understand. Something about that song resonated with so many people. And before I know it, the song has this life of its own. And so what happened is it created this incredible opportunity for me to be a recording artist, because all of a sudden the voice that people didn't know, now they knew. But then the other part of it, there was this weird, I think I told you about is it this woman from Detroit thing. Then I don't know who started it, but then there was this whole thing of, is it even my voice?
Really?
And I remember doing, funnily enough, the Ugly Phil Jackie O show on the Fox rooftop. And they brought up on air, well, Ugly Phil brought it up on air that, we've heard that you're the face of the song, but you're not the voice. And I'm on live radio. And I'm like, I'll sing right now. And I sang a cappella, and obviously it's my voice. And that dispelled that rumor. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if it's because I was young and, or like.
The best way to shut it down though, right?
But I was just like, no, that's my singing voice. And so I remember singing it live. And then, so then I did a follow-up single after Jackie. And what happened was Jackie was so massive that it's like they weren't ready to play the follow-up. And the same thing happened with the third single as well, because it was like they still couldn't get Jackie out of their minds.
Right.
And then by this point, I'm now in 1999, so it's like a year after. And then I find out I'm nominated for an ARIA. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And this is obviously, I've done the shows, I've traveled, and I've promoted the song, and then I've promoted that song as well as the second song. And I'm doing all of that stuff. So I can definitely feel and see, but I still don't get it.
Yeah.
Still don't get it. And I was like, oh, what have I been nominated for? They're like, you've been nominated for the highest selling Australian single of the year. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And I'm just like, I can't believe it. Like, so to me, that's cool for me. Like, I can't even believe it. I'm just blown away. But in my mind, I'm like as if, because there were Australian acts that were international in my category.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
And then I found out, and you get to perform. So now I'm fixated on that. I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm going to show everyone it's my voice. I'm going to show everyone what I can do. This is amazing. So I'm just wrapped because I'm like, I'm performing on the ARIAs. like, OMG, like me, little me, I'm performing on the ARIA. So I'm wrapped now. I'm just, all I care about is that I get to go up there in front of the music industry and everyone attending and show what I can do.
Yeah. And you loved that performing side too. So
I
for you,
did. And it was
buzz.
that whole feeling again of that isolated feeling of being different and not quite fitting in. It was that whole thing of I'm going to show what I do, because the industry at the time was very pop rock. It's either pop rock or really poppy. And I was in this weird, I don't even know where I fit. I didn't feel, I wasn't quite sure because it was very early days. So all my focus then became on the performance. Then obviously there was the whole, you have to do a red carpet. And I'm like, oh, that means I have to dress up and do this. and I wasn't really entirely comfortable with that aspect of things, to be fair. And so it's like, oh, we've got to find an outfit for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. But again, I'm just thinking I'm nominated.
Yep.
And then obviously I say obviously like everyone knows, sorry. For those that don't know, on the night, I'm in the crowd and all I'm thinking about in my head is I get to perform soon. So I'm obviously all dolled up. We're sitting there and they announced the category and they announced the nominees. So in the nominees was Bachelor Girl,
Yep.
Human Nature, Silverchair, and Savage Garden, and myself. So in my mind, I'm just ready to clap.
Yep.
For whoever's going to win.
Yep.
Because I'm like, it's not me.
Yeah,
Like,
and you're hearing those names like.
and I'm like, there is no way in my head. There's no way. And it's a statistical award. It's based on stats. It's highest selling single. So I'm like, there is no way that I have outsold Savage Garden and Silverchair, who were international artists at this point.
Yep.
And I'm like, no way. So I'm just in there ready to, And then I remember as I'm ready to clap, this camera comes. And I'm in my head, I'm thinking, oh, everyone be nice, because they're about to, you've got to look like you're happy for whoever wins. Don't pull any faces, because in my head I'm
Don't
thinking,
do a disappointed face.
yeah, I'm thinking, are they there to like capture like our row of like,
the reaction.
And then I heard my name called and I was in so much shock. Because often people say to me, did you know you were going to win? Because I think there are some occasions maybe where people win things and they're given a bit of a nudge and a heads up. I had no idea at all.
So they got a real reaction.
I was so shocked. I could not believe that my name had been called. And then, and the greatest part about it was that I'm now performing after this. So there's that high and there's that excitement of, oh my God, this is the best. So look, that was an incredible experience for sure. And then the floodgates open and I now can move forward in my career. But then I was exposed to the real industry after that, because the next couple of years were where I really got to understand more about how I was a product. Mm-hmm. And I was quite naive, I think. I think I was so I am a little bit that person where I'm like, hugs, I'm like this ball of mush and I love people. And I think I really believed, as naive as it sounds, that everyone had the best intentions for me and that everyone around me cared about me the same way I cared about them and that we were all family. I really thought that, when you connect with, people at the label or people here or there, or, even the people around you in the music business, I really believed that that's my second family away from home. And I think I obviously learned that, oh, I'm a product here.
Yeah.
And that was really a hard pill to swallow for me, because I really cared about everything and everyone around me. That was really eye-opening.
And when you say product, you mean I'm here, they're using my talent, profiting from my talents?
Very much so. And also realizing that that maybe the emotional care was not there that I naively thought was. And understanding that I have to be switched on constantly.
And it's a common story, isn't it, with young, talented athletes, musicians, singers, where they're taken advantage of is one way to say it, but also utilizing the fact that they are young and they can be a little bit naive. And
there's all the stuff you're just not prepared for. Like you're obviously made aware that image matters. You're made aware that image matters. And to be fair, as a teenager, I was awkward like most teenagers, let's be honest. But I was quite confident in who I was. I was confident to experiment with color, with clothes, with fashion, and just, march to the beat of my own drum, which is pretty much what I'm like today. It's like I've gone backwards now. But at the time, I was really comfortable. I didn't have, I didn't think I was anything to look at as a teenager. And I always had this thing of, it's always going to be about who I am. And it's always going to be about how I perform and what my voice does. So it was actually a really hard pill to swallow to get into an industry where suddenly how I looked mattered. And I never wanted it to be about that at all. And as time went on, it was very much, let's make her look more Australian, let's cut her hair, let's dye her hair blonde. And then it was also, all of a sudden you're fixating on your weight. And at the time I was like a 6 or an 8 or something ridiculous. And I was quite lean because I was quite fit. I was doing things all the time. And so every girl that was in that industry at the time, all of us had these bizarre, ways of looking at ourselves that just was not real. But at the time, because you're sort of around people that are like making you think there's a problem. Like I look at myself back, I'm like, man, I should have been walking around naked. Like,
yes,
I was so concerned and so like I'd gone from being this confident teenager to then, not really feeling comfortable in my own skin because people had put things in my mind.
And you should only
about
be
how
yourself.
I looked. Yeah, and so there was that aspect that I wasn't ready for. And I hated it because I really just wanted it to be about my voice. All I wanted to do was move people with music and be an artist where it's like I get up there, I open my mouth and then no one cares. And I hated that I had to kind of look a certain way and feel pressure to look a certain way. But also I hated how even the dancers around me carried that, and it was worse for them, to be honest, because with dancers it's always worse. They really are very hard on themselves, and especially back then it was just a really different time with especially females and it was horrible because I wanted to set an example to kind of be like fight against it, but
and it was a different era,
really different era. It was okay to say certain things, which is just not like it. And I think about all the things that were put in my head. It was never okay. It's not right that I carry that in my head for such a long time. And all I ever wanted to do was sing and perform. So the image part of it was really hard, definitely. But also the whole idea of marketing was interesting to get my head around because, I always thought that being kind and nice and friendly and bubbly and not getting into trouble, like I wasn't a big drinker, I wasn't doing drugs, I was always on time, I was just a nerd, to be fair, because I always wanted to bring my best A game the next day. And there were even times where, conversations would be had of, we need to make you more interesting and give you more edge. And I was like, and so in my head, I'm thinking, this is about my image again. But it actually wasn't about my image. It was about the whole backstory of, I think it was really obvious was we were preparing for Rolling Stone. I was doing a shoot for Rolling Stone, and it was like, how do we give her more of a rock and roll story? But there was no story because I was just
wanted to fabricate something.
A kid that loved to sing, and like I didn't have this story, and it was like that was weird to me. I was like, this is just strange, and I'm like, can't you just be someone who loves to sing? Like, can't
I just be me? Can't I just be my story, my real story?
So there were all those little things. I never let it, hold me back or get me down at the time. But it definitely was over time opening my eyes to what the industry was actually really like at the time.
Yeah.
And like I said, understanding the product side of it and what I was really there for.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I didn't forge beautiful bonds with people. I absolutely did, but for the most part, I was definitely there to just get it done,
And there is another side to the industry that we don't see. Unless you're in the industry,
there's
see it.
really dark corners to the industry, and I was exposed to some of it, and I felt so uncomfortable. I didn't really enjoy. I loved. I love having a great time. Don't get me wrong. Love having a laugh. Love dancing, of course, but I hated any of the industry after parties. I used to I'd go, and I would go, and then I'd meet my other artists who were my friends.
Yep.
And some of us would be like, all right, where are we going?
Let's smoke bomb.
And so some of us would be like, I think there's a couple where I've snuck off, like we're meant to be at this party, and then we sneak off and go to like a club and go dance there for a couple of hours and then come back and pretend like we were there the whole time. Other times we've just literally gone to McDonald's, like, let's go to Macca's and go to the hotel and hang, and it was just because.
But it's all about being real, right? It's all about just being yourself and what you like and not changing who you are just because.
And a lot of the parties back then were for the execs. It was for them. It was more about them and their partying. It wasn't actually about us, even though you were told you have to be there and you have to turn up. And I just was never really, at that age, comfortable in those circles. I always felt very uncomfortable, and like I'd play the game and get through it. But
did you get to rub shoulders with anyone interesting at some of those parties? Or do any collabs with?
Touring would be where I met really, really cool international artists, because I actually got to do some amazing tours when I was younger. I got to do what did I do? I did RuPaul was my first ever support tour with RuPaul, and then I did Shaggy, Destiny's Child, and then I did the Rumba tour that had this insane lineup of international artists on it. Yeah. So you got to work with other artists from here, from overseas, learn from them, and the longer tours were the cool ones, because then you can really see how other people work. And so and you meet people all the time randomly at television shows, because there were so many TV shows back then. It's not like it is today. Like you could perform on like 4, 5, 6 shows. Like there were so many different opportunities to perform your music. So you'd meet other people on shows and things like that.
You mentioned before you got that new song out, which I was cranking in the car on the way this morning. What else is in the pipeline?
Well, I'm
working on anything else?
I am really enjoying this new chapter. So this new chapter is very much me being authentically me and not holding back. I'm loving being in the house world. I'm like, I have this very powerful instrument that needs to be used and appreciated in a space where I can just be me. So I feel like it's an extension of my old music, just more mature, less poppy,
Yep.
And I understand, my old school fans, they really connected with, songs like Jackie and Busted and So Damn Fine and I Don't Know. But those songs were written when I was 19, 20, 21.
Yep.
I was very, very young. And it was the pop world that I was like molded into at that time. Whereas now, I just, I write what I want to write. I hear the music, and, sometimes the ideas come to me in the car just as I'm driving, because I'm really relaxed. And then because I'm relaxed, all these ideas come. Other times I'll get sent a bit of music and I'm just like, oh man, this is fat, this is good. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, and that's exactly what happened with this current song and the last release, Fire to My Flame. I got instantly excited and wrote them really quickly because everything just flew out at me.
But where's that beat has that current housey, cool beat to it?
Yeah, it's a Jack and House vibe. So it's got a fast BPM. I've been told that the current releases are great for the gym. So
As in for getting certain energy levels up.
Yeah, because of the tempo. So all you people losing weight, that's because of me. No, but I've been told they're really, really good for for that. So it's a really interesting, but it's so interesting coming back to the industry because I remained a performer. I stopped recording and releasing original music in the early 2000s, but I continued to perform live and right through until 2023 when the Jackie 25th anniversary release dropped, and that was the first time I'd released anything as a solo artist since. So it's a massive gap.
Sure.
But the industry that I've come back to is so different.
Yeah.
Like how we work is so different. Like it's wild to me. Like I was so used to the old school, you go into a studio every day and I was working with the same people for years.
Yeah.
Now it's like I'm working with different people all the time. You know, you can just be like, you know, you could literally just message me and I'm sending you a track. You know,
Yeah.
Come up with
Now with AI, I had this conversation with Gary Pinto when he was on the pod, and we were talking about how there's AI tracks that are on the charts.
It's insane. It's on the one hand, it's fascinating because it's like, whoa, like I won't lie. I used AI the other week because I wanted to have a photo of me with Michael Jackson. So we used AI and damn, we were cute. Like we were cute together. So on the one hand, there's a part of me that's like, oh, for that purpose, you know.
Yeah.
But there's so many unknowns
Yes.
with AI. And I think for me, being an old schooler who loves writing so much, who loves learning about my voice so much, and who loves challenging myself to do things, the thing with AI is that there's all these unknowns. And so it takes away, I guess, that opportunity. I worry that it's going to take away from the creative. If it doesn't
human
get
creative
monitored,
side.
you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's so many unknowns and grey areas with AI, with music. I do think that there are potentially some benefits to it if used in the right way. I personally haven't used it except for my Michael Jackson photo. But I personally haven't used it because I just love, I want the experience of creating. But it's funny you're saying this because this morning on my Instagram, something popped up and it was Charlie Puth. Is Puth or Puth? P-U-T-H, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
It's Puth.
yeah.
Charlie Puth. And they were talking to him about AI and they asked him what he thinks. And he was actually saying, and I found it very interesting. He said that there's a country artist and this country artist had a stroke and couldn't actually perform or sing properly in the studio. But he had all these songs that were either half recorded or unfinished or half written. And what they'd done is they'd used AI. They'd gotten a guy in who had a similar tone. I think it was Garth Brooks, actually. That was it, Garth Brooks. And they had a guy that came in, had a similar tone to Garth Brooks, and used AI to somewhat assist to recreate, to help finish some of the songs that he physically wasn't able to sing. And Charlie Puth was saying, you know, that he found that really interesting. And I also found that really interesting because I thought, you know what, that's a little bit different because it's used for a purpose that the artist approves of in that instance. But yeah, I am such an old schooler. Like there's just nothing like creating a song from scratch and going through the 1,000 versions and figuring it out and, you know.
But the young 17, 18-year-old today is going through a totally different journey, right? Not just in becoming an artist, but just in life.
And I think that's why coming back to the industry was just such a, and when I say coming back, because obviously the performing never stopped, but coming back into the releasing artist world of this industry and understanding, you know, social media.
Yep.
Being active constantly and just doing things all the time.
Apple Music, Spotify,
yeah,
streaming,
all the different streaming platforms.
What did we do? We used to go to Sanity and buy a CD.
So understanding that world, understanding even just how people will just drop songs every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I'm dropping a song Friday night at midnight. And then next week, and I'm dropping another song next week. And it's like, what is going on?
How are they doing
but
so
it's
quick?
Because people are able to. They have the capacity and the control to. But then I also look at it, and this is what's interesting, because there's kind of my generation, and then there's the generation like below me and the generation below them. And it's these other generations where I feel everything's happening so quickly. They're just churning constantly. And I'm like, man, let it marinate. You know, like let people experience the song. Let them go on the journey of the song for a while. And but people are throwing out so many things at once. And I think it's because they're learning from each other. That's like almost like a trend, or I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just strange to me because I come from the school of there's strategy and you let things breathe and you allow months between, and you know, so it's very strange to me.
I look at my teenage sons and it's just flick, no, on to the next thing. But today I want this. Oh, Dad, I want to buy that. Tomorrow, no, I don't want that anymore. I want this. They just have this self-entitlement that I can have whatever I want right now, and tomorrow it's going to be something completely different. So it's a totally different generation.
And even the attention and the focus and the capacity to pay attention beyond a certain point. I never forget when we were doing the 25th anniversary version of Jackie 3 years ago now. And the whole concept of ensuring that the radio edit was X amount of time, because radio now, everything's even shorter than what it was. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like
people don't want the 5-minute version.
So you've got to like cut everything to like, you know, 2 minutes something, 3 minutes 20 or something. Like you've got to cut everything down, sometimes 2 minutes something, just to ensure that the capacity to pay attention is there. So that was really interesting too. And I think that's a part of music that's really changed. You know, obviously in the DJ world, you know, and where people are playing extended mixes of songs or what have you, you can still experience the build of a song. But yeah, I miss, I try really hard to be, you know, as authentic as I can when I'm writing now, but we are writing for we're writing for ourselves, but it's a different audience that are listening.
Of course.
And I miss, I was saying to someone the other day, I'm like, oh man, I remember when there were soundtracks and the soundtrack songs would end up on the top 10 and there were ballads that would go to number 1. Like we're just in a really different space now where it's what we're listening to is really different. And those songs back then, they had like dramatic key changes, there were bridges, there were strings, there were saxophone solos. Like it was just like crazy. And the musicality of it was insane. But today it's just very, and I'm not saying that music doesn't exist. It's just that what is in our chart and what people are streaming and listening to and what's popular is, and what radio playing is different. So that's been, because even a couple of years ago, I'd collaborate with some producers and I'd write a song and go in with the song and they'd be like, I like those 2 lines. I'm like, what about my song? Nah, man, that's the hook. And I'd be like, and in my head, I'm like, is this guy seriously going to scrap my whole song? But it's because, and again, it's also me learning about the different pockets of music, and especially in the house world, you know, sometimes it's all about a vibe.
Yep.
It's not about the story.
It doesn't have to have a whole long
It can be a shibba-dip-doop, and if they like your shibba-dip-doop, that's it. And so that's been also a massive learning is knowing that sometimes I'm going to bring the energy and I'm going to be the vibe, and that's all a song needs.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the story that people want to hear. So it's not getting it. It's learning not to be emotional about things and just whatever the song needs to be great. That's what you create.
And like you said before, as long as you're bringing joy, then the box has been ticked.
That's
because I'm bringing joy, whichever way it is.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying myself so much. The live shows have been incredible.
I was going to ask you, do you like the performing live shows and doing events and things like that, or do you prefer the recording side?
I love them both.
Yep.
The recording world, I'm obsessed with being in the studio. I love it so much. I love the process of bringing a song to life and all the colors, the layers, everything. It's the most incredible experience. And I feel so sorry for the engineer because I'm always like, you're going to be here a minute, because I have this obsession with massive gospel harmonies. So I'm like, I'm just going to pretend like I'm a whole choir for a minute. And the poor guy's like, oh, you know, but he just has to just leave me be. But yeah, I love the studio process. The live process I'm obsessed with. I hate being quiet with shows. I need to be gigging all the time. I love the energy. There's just nothing like it.
Yeah.
And
it keeps you motivated, right?
Keeps me motivated. It keeps the muscle working, because that workout on the vocals, and I don't chill out. Like when I do my shows, it's literally belter after belter after belter, and I go like for an hour, sometimes longer at times, and it's just high, like full high energy, just and that's just what's normal to me, but it's the best thing just to keep that muscle working for sure.
Speaking of pushing on, a little birdie told me
Yes,
that you rolled an ankle on stage.
I did.
And you pushed through. And
Yes.
you were in pain, right?
So I've only had 2 experiences. Oh no, I lie. 3. So had 3 experiences where something has happened and it's been interesting. The first time I was on national television performing live, and one of my dancers accidentally punched me in the face on
And I'm sure
TV.
one of the 53 cameras got it.
And what happened was, in the moment, because she was doing like this hip hop move and I was positioned, but I think she lost her spacing. And so as I'm singing and I've got she's just gone, and it's like this whole thing. But it happened so quickly and I recovered really fast. There wasn't really an opportunity to figure out if it hurt or not. I just kept going. And I remember afterwards, she was really freaking out. She was really upset because she's like, oh my God, like,
Yep.
I can't believe I did that on stage and it was on TV. I said, oh, don't worry. I don't think anyone noticed. It was really quick.
Yeah.
Because it was so quick. And then a week later, there was that TV show called The Panel.
Oh, yeah.
And someone had seen it on Channel 10 and had slowed it down, and they were playing it on repeat in slow motion, and you could just see like the cheek. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, and that poor girl was mortified. She was like, oh my God, I've ruined your career. And I said,
Yeah.
like I said, I've got a sense of humor. This is actually really, really funny, because I thought it was funny. And they were cracking all these jokes like, oh, she knows how to take a punch. Like, it was quite funny. So that happened. Then I had to do a whole tour in 2016, interestingly, with an injured ankle. And it was a dance, like a very high energy tour, and I had to wear sneakers for the whole thing. I'd go out there, I'd perform like everything was fine, and then I'd go off stage and I'd be like, there'd be like ice buckets like waiting for me, and then everything was fine. And then this incident that you're talking about happened very recently, dare I say, probably in February. Yes, it was in February. I won't say where or how or what, because I don't want to implicate myself, but I had turned on stage and my heel and the fabric of the flooring that was on the stage, I don't know what happened, but basically my ankle went like rolled, and I landed like on the ground on my knee. So it's just like this thud to the ground in the middle of singing the song. And all I remember was the pain and being on the ground and being like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Because I'm like, I can't get up. And so I'm on the ground, and I just remember it was the funniest, like I think about it now and I'm like, it cracks me up. And there was this whole thing of trying to make it like a Michael Jackson moment, like I've dropped to the ground, like, you know, so I'm down there and I'm like, and I'm doing like this with my arms, and I'm like doing this and I'm on my knees. And all I remember was there were these women that were in the front row and they knew I'd fallen. And everyone else just thought I was being like,
part of the show.
You know, part of the show, like drop to the ground, like, you know, and I'm down there and I'm doing like this jungle move, like I'm doing anything I can to make it look like I'm meant to be here. But these women had seen the fall, and I'm singing and I'm still belting and I'm still on the ground and I've got one leg just sort of like flopped to the side. I'm like trying, like, cause all I'm thinking is my ankle is stuffed and I don't know if I can get up. So I'm just going to stay down here for a bit and then I'll try and get up. And then these ladies were like, are you right, love? Do you need a hand? And I'm like, just keep singing. And then I managed to get up, and I knew that I wasn't okay. Because you can, especially if that ankle of mine has been injured so many times.
Yep.
And once you've done something once and you keep doing this, you just know.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. And anyway, I got through the rest of the show, and then I'm kind of get off stage, and then I'm limping. Because once I'm off, because it's like that, okay, the acting can stop now. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Meanwhile, The whole band that were behind me didn't see a thing. One of them thought I was just, again,
Part of the show?
Joanne's just being Joanne, doing whatever she does, humping on the ground like, yeah. And they're like, what's wrong? I had the worst fall ever. When? I go, like, and I'm like, how did these guys,
You hit it well.
who were all behind me facing the same way, everyone was so into their groove or whatever they were doing that no one actually saw what happened. And so, yeah, I was in struggle town for a bit. I couldn't get my foot into a shoe.
Oh, it would have swollen up.
It was swollen up. So I was doing the whole, trying every trick you can think of, because of course it had to happen right before a week where I had like 3 or 4 shows in a row, and I don't know how to keep still. And so I did the week after, and I was like, maybe I'll wear sneakers for this gig, and I'm going to be very smart, and I'm just going to be, and yep, I stomped that stage and ran up and down it like a maniac for a whole hour. And I don't learn, and I just do, because in the moment I'm like, you know what? I've got this. I can do this. And I just dance as normal.
Like you said earlier, when sometimes you get off stage and you don't even know what you've just been doing. You don't know.
And there's this superpower energy that happens where I don't know what it is, but it's this thing of I can do anything. And so in your head, you're like, the Lord is going to get me through this, and I am going to stomp on the floor and stamp my feet, and I'm going to be fine. And I can dance as normal, yeah. And you get this, like, you psych yourself up in your head and you're just being a maniac. And then you get off stage and then you wonder, like, you're sitting there like, oh, my foot hurts. And everyone's like, well, yeah, did you see what you're doing? And I'm like, oh, I didn't think, because you just don't think. And then, of course, I get the lectures from my mum, what were you thinking, and I was like, oh. But yes, that was interesting.
I could talk to you for hours. I love your story, and I just love your energy. I'm going to give you some Scottie G rapid fire questions, okay? So don't overthink them.
Okay.
I'm just looking at my first question here, and I think we already all know the answer. Favorite artist of all time?
Michael Jackson, of course.
We knew that one.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Both.
Sunrise, sunset?
Sunrise.
Nice. Best crowd you've ever performed for?
Oh.
It's a tough one.
Oh my gosh. I don't know who the best crowd was, but I can say I had an experience very recently of singing for nearly 5,000 women at an event. Shout out Disco Club. You guys are amazing. That was an incredible experience because I've never done, I remember that event being really special because everyone's intention at that event was just to have this girls' night out. The youngest person in the crowd was about 18. The oldest person was about 86 or something.
Awesome.
So it was just like, and all women.
Yeah.
And in that show, I'd sometimes do it in my shows where I start singing a cappella and I get the crowd to sing with me at the end. And to hear, 4,500 to 5,000 people singing Jackie back at me with all their heart, with the best of intention, with the having the time of their life with all that joy, that energy flying back at me was absolutely beautiful. And the thing with performing Jackie now is it feels different every single time and it gets better and better and I never get sick of it because it's just this beautiful, you just receive. It's just this beautiful feeling.
I love it.
So that was incredible.
And I congratulate you, and you should be very proud because that song is timeless and you sing it today like better than ever, and you should be very proud of that.
Thank you.
We love it. We love it.
Thank you.
Worst gig ever. I think you might have just said it before with the ankle story, but
oh, do you know what?
Probably not.
Worst gig ever. Worst gig ever.
So what? There's worse than getting punched in the face.
Actually, there was a gig that was really funny, and that was one of the gigs I was doing with some bandmates years ago. This is like years ago, and someone asked us if we'd do 9 Inch Nails, and I'm like, 9 Inch Nails, us?
Do you know our style?
And I'm like, what? And that gig ended up being more comical. But I think I'm just thinking worst gig. I know there's been a worst. Why can't I think of it? Obviously, I made it good, or I tried to, make it better.
If you can't remember it, it ain't that bad, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I feel like they're more. I mean, I've had gigs with really bad sound before, and that's always the worst.
Yeah,
like
okay.
That's probably the worst.
Yep.
But I feel like my worsts have been more funny, like just comical worsts, as opposed to worse. Yeah.
Favorite food?
Spaghetti bolognese.
90s music versus today. What wins?
90s music.
One word your fans would use to describe you.
Powerhouse. I hear that a lot.
And that was the word I used to introduce you. So one thing people would be surprised to know about you. That's always a tough one.
I think people are surprised to know that I'm more reserved. And what I mean by that is I am a people person, but I'm not out all the time.
You like to go inward as well. You like quiet time.
I love the couch. I love just watching TV,
Yep.
and I just love chilling out. And I think that when people meet me, especially when I'm on the road and I'm on tour or I'm doing shows, I think there's a perception
Yep.
that I would be nuts or wild. I think they think that about a lot of us.
Like
Did you see the riders?
24/7.
Oh my God, the riders they give us. I'll be like, I drink this and this. And the amount of alcohol that's left in the room, I'm like, how many people do you think are coming here? But I think people are just very amazed by how chill I am. And I've had other artists that I've toured with comment on, they're always shocked by how right before I perform, I could be like cracking jokes and sitting here, and I'm so not like everyone else. Like, I'm not drinking tea. I'm not doing vocal warm-ups. I'm literally just...
You're not like gargling
I'm
honey
like,
or something?
and I'm just chatting. They're like, Joanne, you're on. Oh, okay, I'll be back in a minute. And then I just go. And I've been told that is something that people are really shocked at. And a lot of people don't know that about me until they've actually...
I think it shows your comfort and that you're in your happy place, and you're just ready to rock. When it's time to rock, let's do this.
Yeah, but I think I'm just a lot more chill and calm than people expect.
I love it. Like I said to you, I could talk to you for hours.
Oh, there's
honestly.
so many stories.
I
oh
love
my
it.
gosh, we need like 10 episodes.
We might have to do a part 2 in the future. Yash,
think
write that down. We might have to do a part 2 soon. Now, where can people find you? On the socials?
Yes, my preferred platform is Instagram, which is at Joanne Music with a K, because the C was taken. At Joanne Music, all my shows and what I'm doing gets put on there. And yeah, just keep an eye out, because there's more music to come, more shows to come, more jokes, and I'm sure more accidents and injuries to come too, I'm sure.
Let's hope not many, please. Thank you so much for coming on the
you.
show. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have had a ball. Thank you so much.
I'm having fun doing podcasts, so I hope you've had fun coming onto the podcast. I mean, look,
I can talk and talk, so yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this awesome episode with the beautiful Joanne. We've loved having her in the studio today, and I think that we're going to have a part 2 in the future as well, because we've got more stories to go through. Please don't forget, do all the usual clicking of all the buttons, the liking, the subscribing, the sending it to your friends, your cat, your dog. Send it to everyone. The more support I can get, the more awesome guests I can get.
And then I can do 15 episodes.
We're going to have a whole series.
Yeah.
So thanks again, and we will see you on the next episode.